And I quote, "I'll be there in a minute. Give me a second."
Time is relative, folks. Time is relative.
Yes. So, hey, cheers to everybody in the chat. They're a division rival. I don't care how many wins they get. Screw them.
That wasn't the take I was expecting to hear.
I want to gush over watching live Chris Tanev.
I think that we completely underestimate the skill it takes to play defense.
One highlight or several highlights does not a Calder trophy make.
I'm stepping in here. I'm going to be the crotchety old man here. They need to learn patience. They need to understand the tension, everything, and the drama.
How dare! Look at this. How is McDavid not getting a penalty?
You guys need to calm down with this, okay? You guys need to calm down with it.
I mean, calm is a different state of mind that I don't think a lot of people are in right now. But
no.
Welcome to the Ships and Pucks podcast. We can be your distraction. You can stop doom scrolling. You can stop getting in fights on the internet. Well, unless you're fighting Oilers fans, because we always love to do that, right?
Yes.
So welcome, Tyler. We haven't been on in a couple weeks, but just you and me today.
Yeah, it sounds good. We're trying not to drown up here. The heavy rain has come back. We've got one of our Nishka communities up north of us isolated again this evening. Hopefully, that'll change tomorrow after the rain stops. But yeah, it's been a wild the last few days here, obviously, with different things going on in the world.
Just a little bit. Before we get into all the hockey talk, it is November, so it's also Movember. And as you can tell, I did not shave my beard to do like a mustache. I really hope Chris is going to try and do a mustache again this year. As you saw, if you do watch, we've got our intro, and you can see the different iterations of Chris's attempt at a mustache. It's always very entertaining to see him do it in November. But for me, one of the biggest things that I've struggled with in my life has been mental health. And one of the biggest things that's helped me control it is being active. And with Movember, you can do Move for Movember. And my goal for this year for Move for Movember is 100 kilometers in the month of November. The whole deal is 60 kilometers for the 60 men that we lose every year, or every hour. So I want to at least get to 100, if not double that stat with my walking. I do a little bit of walk before and after my workouts, and then I am doing a 5-kilometer walk on days that I do not work out as well. So it's the 6th of November as of the recording, and I am already over 20 kilometers. I will leave my Movember link in the description in the YouTube, as well as on the Ships and Pucks Facebook, as well as on our Twitter, so that if you are able to and willing, you can donate to that, because that anytime we can start supporting mental health, that is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be sure to get my contribution in when we're done the show here. Right on, Sean.
All right. So we have a lot to talk about with the Canucks here. First off and foremost, I think it's congratulations to Quinn Hughes.
Yes.
The third quickest defenseman in NHL history, only behind Bobby Orr and Brian Leetch, to 300 assists. And that is an absolutely stunning stat.
Yeah, they showed the graphic of that last night on the Sportsnet broadcast there, and to have him amongst those names, a couple of them you just mentioned, is what an accomplishment. It's still such a treat. You know, I was commenting out loud last night too, just watching him and the way that Quinn skates and what he can do out there. It's just, he's a special player, man. It's still I'm not taking it for granted. You know, the careers come and go by quick, and what a treat it is to watch him play. And we're happy to have him in a Canucks uniform.
Yeah, there was always the argument to have the Canucks before Quinn Hughes. Did the Canucks ever have a true number one defenseman? And it was always a debate because but then now that like with it now, it's just he is special. Like, it's just
yeah.
Well, Dylan in comments is saying it's now 299 assists, but I'm like, did they switch it again?
I don't know. I assumed they got back to 300. That was one of many things that our friend Dave Tomlinson were confused about last night. That was I won't go on about this for too long, but that was a rough telecast to get through. I wonder if the election night kind of drained resources, but there was a odd camera work and audio, and then they were having their challenges too, figuring out what was happening. And then once the Ducks were getting smoked and the rink was half empty, that was a real dour experience watching that hockey.
Well, even before that, like, it just like, the Ducks are struggling right now. American election night, it just was it was a recipe for a poor attended game.
Yeah.
Other than Kevin Bieksa, who was there.
Yes. Nice to see him.
Yes. And then moving on here, very quickly, yes, but let's stick with the defense. We got the news today that Derek Forbort got injured in practice and is out week to week now. So tough start for the year for him with losing his father. So also condolences to the Forbort family. And then now this. If it wasn't for the emergence of Eric Brandstrom, I'd be very concerned about where losing Derek Forbort for the Canucks.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding. And I would say as Brandstrom's played a little more, we're starting to see a few more, not holes in his game, but the flaws are appearing just a little bit more. But depth, that's one where the Canucks have needed that level of depth at the very least here to get them through. And after a kind of a concerning start for the Canucks, now 6-2-3 through 11 games and in a playoff position, so things are starting to calm down a little bit. As I like to say at the beginning of the show, everybody needs to calm down. Well, things have certainly settled for the Canucks, and I wanted to comment too how important it was to see them get these 2 wins against San Jose and Anaheim. It doesn't matter how you get there; it's just collecting the 4 points. But they had to have these 2 games. See if you're serious about not falling too far behind and making sure you're going to be a playoff team again this year. You have to have those wins.
It doesn't matter if they're basement dwelling teams. It doesn't matter if they're rebuilding teams. You have to go out and get those points. Yep. And it was a little touch and go against the Sharks, but they definitely had a more controlled, not quite dominating, but very controlled game against the Ducks, and that was good to see.
Yeah, and Elias Pettersson was threatening a little bit more too with his shot, seemingly generating a few more chances last night. So that was encouraging to see as well.
Yeah, I think in all situations, I think he had 9 shot attempts and 6 shots on goal, and then tipped in the 300th assist for Quinn Hughes, or was it Quinn Hughes' goal and Pettersson's screen, or was it a tip, or was it a screen? We don't know.
I'm going to the interweb here right now to find out.
No, folks, was just playing off of that, actually.
Things that we should know before we start the broadcast. Not here. Not at Chips and Pucks. We make it up on the fly.
It's exactly it. It's
yes. So NHL.com says 300 career assists for Quinn Hughes. There you go. Thank you, Dylan.
Yes. And then things got a little scary as well with the Canucks. As Carson Soucy also looked a little banged up in that Ducks game. Yeah. He had also had a little bit of a rough game. I think defensively on the blue line right now, I don't think they're necessarily looking for a right shot defenseman anymore. I think what they would love is just a second pair defenseman they can pick up who can basically anchor the second pair, regardless of if it's a right shot to play with Soucy or even Brandstrom, or it's a left shot that can play with Myers.
I agree. Something that will improve the stability in that regard. Yeah.
Because as good as Quinn Hughes and Philip Hronek pairing is, they just need one more top four defenseman just to settle down that second pair, and a lot of things will fall into place.
Yeah.
It's not like the Canucks have looked bad, but I think in terms of if there's a glaring need for the Canucks already this early in the season, it's seeing if the Canucks can pick up this season's version of Zadorov.
There's some pretty good company to be in.
Yeah. So,
I mean, just so you know, I mean, let me ask you this: I mean, are you still kind of stewing over the fact that he's not back?
No, I think him and Lindholm are very, very similar in the aspect of if they were willing to stay at the price that the Canucks were wanting, it'd be great to have them. But I think they both wanted bigger roles.
Yeah,
and wanted to go elsewhere. Like Lindholm to Boston just felt like it was always going to happen.
Yeah.
Just because he wanted a true top six role. Now whether or not that is going to turn out for the Bruins is up in the air. And then Zadorov isn't necessarily a true top four defenseman. It's just, I think he is better. If he is a top four defenseman, you want someone you need someone who is the anchor of that pair.
Yeah.
He can either anchor a third pair, or he needs to be sort of the wingman to the anchor on the second pair. So it's not. I don't think having Zadorov right now would be changing much in the way of where the Canucks are at and what they'd be looking for. Maybe that just might be a little more focused on the right side, which becomes a little more expensive again. So, and then they wouldn't have. I don't know who would the Canucks not have because they signed Zadorov, right?
That's the key, and they did kind of have to restock the cupboard with quantity a fair bit too. So I mean, so far it's I think we can feel okay with how those transactions went.
Yeah, and it's still a work in progress, right? So getting Brandstrom in the deal for Tucker Pullman's contract, it looks even better now. I said he's still a flawed defenseman. But he's in the third pair role that the Canucks have played him in. He's looked solid, and he hasn't looked out of place. And I think that's what. And with third pair defensemen, that's what you want. They don't need to blow your socks off. They don't need to be outplaying their minutes. As long as especially when they're low, they're being paid a lower cap hit. If they're just solid and they're not getting buried, then you're fine. And I think with the Canucks blue line outside of Hughes and Hronek, and even I'd even stretch it just saying Hughes.
Yeah.
they just have none of the defensemen have had an exceptional game. It's literally just been Hughes and everyone else.
Yeah.
Connor's been good, but he hasn't had an exceptional game. But he also hasn't really had a bad game. Well, the rest of them have all had their bad games.
Yeah. Well, and then the game against the Devils, that was just a total collective laying of an egg.
Yes.
It's going to happen once in a while. That would, yeah. But, you throw that one out. Yeah, I think I'd agree with that analysis.
And
that was its own category, that one.
Yeah. So I think that's
Terrible.
the issue with the Canucks blue line right now is no one really had, like, again, outside of Hughes, no one's really had like their like spotlight game that you can say, okay, they played well in this game, and they had a couple bad games, but it all evens out. So it hasn't done that yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's why there's that concern and worry, and why, like I said, if the Canucks are looking for anything, it's a second pair defenseman that can anchor that and then slot everyone a little bit better.
Yeah.
Regardless of if it's whether it's a right side defenseman or a left side. I think you just getting one, I think, will help settle things down a little bit more.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And then up front, I feel like we're getting that it's the opposite of what we were just talking about with just being the star taking over all the games and everyone else not really. It feels like it's actually a sort of more of a, like, everyone's taking their turns with the forwards. Besser and Garland have probably been the most consistent of the forwards, I would say. But you had games from Pius Suter, who stepped up and scored 2 goals against the Sharks.
Huge game on Saturday. Yeah. Yep.
You're starting to see Kiefer Sherwood and Danton Heinen step up. You're seeing even with Höglander being moved down to the fourth line. I think that fourth line looked was physical and a pesky fourth line yet last night too.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's starting to sort of play their roles and know their roles and everything. And so once the stars start to click and start to like really gel, and I think we're starting to see that.
Yeah.
I think the wagon that the Canucks were at the beginning of last year could reemerge.
And I know we've got this to talk about still, but that just sort of fits in with Dakota Joshua progressing towards a return here. That makes things even more exciting, right? To be able to add him to that mix. It's always comforting to know that there's balance in your lineup and you're not relying on one line, and that you can roll the fourth line out there on a more regular basis. And you look at the statistical total. Yeah, I mean, Hughes is leading the team with 12 points and 10 assists. But Brock Besser, 6 goals, 5 assists. JT Miller's up there. Garland, you mentioned, 3 goals, 7 assists. What an engine that Garland is. Like, does he ever take a shift off? Like, it's so admirable watching him play, and the amount of times that he can just pivot and just go around and just hold on to the puck. I mean, it's mesmerizing. I was joking, like, I can only dream of being half that good carrying the puck around. And eventually, somebody's just gonna strip it. Like, it's just so fun to watch that, and it's done. It's done a lot for the Canucks in terms of maintaining possession and setting up some chances.
And PD is starting to turn around. Like, I know we want the goals, we want the aggressive PD that we know that he can play, the aggressiveness he can play with offensively, but he's not out of position defensively a lot of the time. He's still making smart plays with the puck. I think it'll come. Like, there was a couple games I was a little worried earlier on. The last few, for the most part, you're starting to see the confidence come back. And as we said at the off the top,
yes,
6 shots on goal last night, 9 shot attempts. That's what you want from him. You need more of that. And even on one of the power plays, and he's tried this move a couple times already this season, where he drives the net and tries to deke the goalie out, like. around, and I want to see him keep doing that because I think he will score on that more than a couple times because he's doing that, and because he's willing to do that, it's going to open up other things.
Yeah.
It's
the other thing is too is he didn't look like he was getting knocked off the puck as easily as we've seen in some more recent times with his struggles there. So that's also been good to see. It really is a confidence thing. I know people want to suggest that he's playing hurt or that he's clearly hurt. Well, maybe something is nagging at him, but I mean, if he was really that hurt, maybe he wouldn't be playing, would he? I mean, we're not really reaching out that far for some conspiracy theory around Elias Pettersson. Come on, that wouldn't be confident. Come on. It's just confidence. When it's not there, man, it's hard getting it back.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's starting to get. I'm honestly putting him with Garland and having that Garland sort of drive that line right now, I think is genius. And yes, you want PD to be driving the play on that line, but having Garland basically dragging him in there and creating space for PD to create and shoot and all that, it's going to lead to good things. So it's unfortunately the P word that all Canucks fans hate, patience, is needed here. Still, I know, and it feels like it's forever because he's had such a long time since between 5-on-5 goals. So that last night's was a 5-on-5, wasn't it? Or was that a power play?
Yeah, I'd have to check that.
Let me quickly check. Good job, Sean. You should know this before the podcast.
Yes, things we should know before we started. Watch us do research.
It was 5-on-5.
Okay, there you go.
So yes, it's so yeah. How long he went between 5-on-5 goals was and is alarming, but I feel like you have to just take a look at how he's playing and see the incremental improvements that he's making.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then just to follow up on Joshua, sounds like there was thought that he might be able to play tomorrow in LA, but Tocchet said today that that's not going to happen. But the Canucks are gonna come back and be on a little bit of a homestand after the Kings game, starting on Saturday versus the Oilers, and that homestand if Joshua isn't playing multiple games on that homestand, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah,
because it sounds like he's close, and having Sherwood and Joshua in the lineup at the same time is going to be awesome because that just makes the Canucks an even harder team to play against, an even more frustrating team to play against because of the physicality that they play with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But the big question
gonna say who comes out.
Yes, the big question is who comes out, because now that we talked about Pius Suter having a great game in San Jose, he's been promoted up to the line with PD and Garland, and with that the Canucks, after the Canucks waiving Neil Zaman, and then they made the swap with Arshdeep Bains and Atu Ratu, with Ratu centering the fourth line now. Unless they bring him on back up.
Yeah, Ratu would be the one that gets pushed out of the lineup, I would think. But then, okay, so where do Joshua and Beluga slide in? I guess.
I think I think you start Joshua on the fourth line.
Ease him back in.
Don't rush him back in, because I wouldn't be breaking up the new third line of Heinen, Sherwood, and Bluger. And I wouldn't rush him into a top six role. Basically plug and play PD between Garland and Joshua. I think that's eventually where it ends up. But I think initially, it's going to be Höglander or Sprong coming out. I think it'll be Sprong, because despite Tocchet not liking a couple of Höglander's games, He still play. I think last night he played solid, and I think a fourth line, at least short term, of Höglander with Ratu and Joshua, I think I think would work.
Okay, so you got somebody sliding over. Yeah, that'd work.
Because I think he's still like the Suter, Garland, and PD line is working right now, and I think you don't mess with a good thing now, especially when you're bringing Joshua back from what he's gone through. I don't think you want to he was a third liner last year. I don't think he's a true top 6 guy anyways. So why would you throw him in the deep end right off the bat there?
Yeah, that's fair.
Let him play in the fourth line, get his game back. Because once his game is back, maybe he can sort of slide up and be on that line there, and maybe become more of a top 6 guy. But you don't want to force it and all that at this point.
Indeed, and what a luxury it is to have too, like to be in this situation where you can bring a guy back in and ease him in on the fourth line. Feels like forever ago when the Canucks could do that. Usually they're just desperate to get somebody back in there ASAP. There's no soft landing.
And then they get the depth. We talked about the depth on the blue line, which I think is okay. They are testing it right now with forward out. But up front, I think they've got depth in spades. Jonathan Lekarmaki is looking really good in the AHL. They've got Baines down there now. Neil Zabon is down there now. They've got options. So if knock on wood, they need to go that way. They've got options there, but I've liked the play of the forwards for the most part. Other than the fact that there's just you need to see the stars just take over a game here.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I know it's kind of lame to say it's still early in the season, but we're still not at the 20 game mark yet. I'd say
11 games in is still early. Yes.
Yeah. And for those star players who are getting the tough matchups and trying to find their game, I'd give that more time, I think.
Yeah, I said I'm not worried about it. The way they're playing, they're not playing bad. They're just not taking over games like we know that they can.
Yeah.
And then I guess the other big news this week is that Demko, we actually have a little bit of an update on him. He was practicing with the team, was taking shots from teammates. He was actually on the ice with the teammates, with everyone else today. Essentially, I can't remember who said it, but he was doing his own personal workout and all that. So he was essentially in a non-contact jersey for goalies. But that's another good step because we haven't really seen him do that up until this point.
Yeah. I haven't seen anywhere much of a timeline, or did I miss that? But the fact that he is taking some drills and with the rest of the team, it's like, okay, maybe the end of this saga is finally in sight.
I think we're within 2 to 3 weeks of him playing, because I think based off of what I'm sort of having educated guess on what's going on here, is it's just whatever he hurt. I don't think it's ever going to be the same after he's injured it. And he just has to get used to that feeling and used to movements, the movements that he needs to make with that. And he'll be able to play through it. And I think it shouldn't hamper him, but he just has to get used to it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to sell me on that one a little bit. Let's hope. Yeah, let's hope that works out okay. Otherwise, it's just kind of sickening to think about the future of his career if he can't kind of work around whatever this is.
It's taken a long time, but everyone, you know, the Vancouver market. Like, if there was anything that there was any sort of potential that he would, like, his career was on, like, near the, like, not going to be good, we'd hear about it. And we're not hearing that. Almost everything we're hearing is either neutral or there's like positives, like that he'll be back soon and they just have to manage it and all that. You're hearing that as opposed to the questioning of whether or not he'll be back, like he'll even be back. So
I guess this is where I make the commentary about how it's been interesting to see how few leaks there have been from the Canucks organization this season so far. I mean, anything that comes out in terms of like acquiring players or contracts or whatever in the offseason, I mean, some of that's put out there on purpose, right? So, it's I mean, whoever knows what's really going on has been super tight-lipped about this one.
And honestly, that's fair. Like, I don't. It's someone's health. I don't think they need to be under the microscope while recovering like this. So,
no.
Yeah. Is there anything else with the Canucks specifically there, Tyler, that we missed? Or
no, other than let's give Kevin Lankinen his flowers here. He's carrying the Canucks through this stretch, and I feel bad for poor Artur Shilovs. He gets the start against the Devils. The show's named the Hughes-A-Palooza today, and then he just gets lit up. The team comes out flat in front of him, so. That's unfortunate, but Kevin Lankinen, I think I saw he's leading the league in goals against average right now. He's like top 5 in save percentage or something, and just what a run he's been on. It's amazing. What a great deal the Canucks made there to get him.
Yeah, he's without him, I don't know where the Canucks would be at this point.
Oh, it'd be terrible.
There was a couple games where I thought he looked a little scrambly. I've always felt like the less spectacular the saves look, the better.
Yeah.
Just because that means the whether the system in front or the goalie in the net, the play is easy to read and they're set and ready for it. But he's making it work.
I'm glad you say that too, because that's what you're hoping to see if you're on the team or a fan of the team is the goalie not being super busy in the net. I mean, all the movements with him look so calm and controlled right now, and that's a sign of the guy being dialed.
Yeah. Just back to Demko. Dylan brings up that we've been hearing sort of everything we've sort of been hearing since playoffs, and that there's reason for concern but not panic. And I think it's changed. I think the narrative has subtly changed from, like, there was the playoffs where, like, he'll be back, and then it went quiet in the summer. And other than some rumblings about whether or not the Canucks weren't confident that he would be back, and that's why they were going after Lankinen and testing waters on other goaltenders like Antti Ranta and all that. And then now, sort of almost since training camp, there's been this quiet positivity about, yes, it's going to take a little bit. They don't really know what the timeline looks like, but once he gets there, he should be good. And that's sort of the vibe I've gotten. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any concern. And I don't think I'm trying not to say that I'm confident he'll come back, but the vibe that I'm getting is that he's getting closer, and it's just about figuring out how his body is reacting to the recovery here, and that's where it's at, more than anything else, I think. And then there's still a reason for I only like maybe concern always seems like a strong word for me. There's still reasons to like just monitor the situation.
Yeah.
And not be super confident about that. But like it's even like when you talk about when Rick Dollywall talks about this situation, and Rick, he can be a little bit like loud with how he explains things and blunt, and he's not doing that with this. Not at least not from what the hits and bits that I've consumed from him. And when that happens, I feel like it's that there's a reason for that.
Yes, there is a different, more cautious tone there from him. I've noticed that as well. Yeah.
So, and I guess maybe caution is I like the word caution more than concern, I guess. And now we're just in semantics, I guess.
Cautiousness, yeah. Let's get out our thesaurus.
Yes. So, I think we've covered basically all the positions on the Canucks at this point, other than Tocchet and Alvin, and I mean we even talked about trades and all that. So there's a little bit there.
Yeah.
So I guess if we want to talk,
I just remembered one thing. Ati Raju gets the call up. First shift, takes a penalty, they get scored on. Oh no. I was like, he is getting demoted so fast. Thankfully, they recovered.
That was such a unlucky penalty.
I know. Broadcast didn't show Rick's face on that one, but they did show one later in the game where I don't know if it was Myers or somebody tried to send the puck up the ice super hard, and it just was a laser down the ice for an icing call. And they got that shot on Rick, and you want to see the look of a coach that's that is just doing a slow burn, man. You can just see he was just fighting it. We can laugh about it because they won, but I'm like, what are they doing? And then they show Rick. He's wondering the same thing. So yes, thank you for the entertainment, Rick Tocchet.
Have you seen Rick Tocchet's rendering for the NHL, the EA Sports NHL game?
Yeah. There's a few renderings in that game that are interesting.
Jared Bednar's chin.
Oh no. With all due respect to Jared, he's a very handsome man.
The rendering of Jared Bednar and his chin is just hilarious. And John Tortorella does not look like John Tortorella.
I love playing MLB The Show. My friends all know how much I'm into that video game, and they're pretty good with most of them. But every once in a while, you see somebody walk up to the plate, and it's like, "What is that?" It's not even close. Yeah. So apparently, this video game needs some work on that too.
Yes. All right, so I think there we go. We've covered it all. We've covered GMs, we've covered coaches, we've covered goalies, defense, and forwards.
Yes.
All right, we got it. All right, on to some non-Canucks talking points. This week it was sort of rumored that the Olympics are looking to add 3-on-3 hockey to the Olympics.
Yes, the Associated Press reporting that the IIHF putting a proposal together to add 3-on-3 hockey in time for the 2030 Winter Olympics. I don't know if that would start out as a medal event or if it would just be a demonstration event, but very interesting. Obviously, the advantage of that would be to get more hockey players into the Olympics. It would be quite the showcase for 3-on-3 and whether it would become more of a mainstream variation of the sport if it were to get that kind of a showcase. Makes sense for 2030 as well, being a North American Olympics. But on the other hand, to me, the men's hockey tournament in particular is the crown jewel event of the Winter Olympic Games, and I just feel like this sort of takes away from it. But it would be the IOC that would want to do this, wouldn't they? I mean, you look at the Summer Olympics and all the weird events that keep coming and going from the Summer Olympics. So, sure, 3-on-3 hockey. Why not?
I mean, there's 3-on-3 basketball in the Summer
Yeah.
Olympics, and that doesn't. I don't think that really takes away from like the actual basketball. It's a very different game, so that's
Yeah.
a little bit the way it is. That helps a little bit with basketball. So I would be interested to see how they would do that. Would they make it sort of more like 3-on-3 basketball, half court type deal? Do they shrink the ice a little bit?
Yeah. Well, and in facilities too, like I would think you'd need another rink for that.
You would, I think.
some
Yeah, you
different
couldn't.
locations, that isn't always the easiest thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's interesting. But yeah, I would if there was more of a 3-on-3 like league or something, I think I'd feel a little more I'd be a lot more excited about it. But I just
that's
It's
I'll
intriguing.
believe it when I see it, I guess. Intriguing is a good word. Yeah.
It's intriguing. Yeah. And then Barry Trotz has already said that he's starting to plan the Preds rebuild.
He actually said the R word.
Spending after spending
Wow.
all that money in the summer. Did the Predators just pull a Calgary Flames?
They're very different markets, so I don't like to make a direct comparison, but I think there's an argument to be had there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They traded away Askarov.
I mean, I appreciate the honesty in saying they're preparing for a rebuild, but not, Nashville's a market where it's kind of like to me, they've always been relevant because they are trying every year for the most part, and they got to be careful not to let that fan base soften there if they have a prolonged period.
The problem with that is like when you look at their contracts and everything there. It's just, especially after this past off season, there's a lot of long-term deals there.
Yeah,
and so it's going to be tough to truly rebuild. So I think Barry Trotz chose that specific word very carefully, and that's to more towards potentially motivating the players, or like more than anything else. I don't think we'll see a true tear it down rebuild, because if the Nashville Predators tear it all the way down and go like full Blackhawks, full Ducks, full Sharks, that's going to be really tough for that market.
I agree.
That being said, I wouldn't be you could see I could see that being a bit of a destination. That's more of it is a bit of a destination market for some players, just because it's Nashville. It's probably like, I'm pretty sure Tennessee's got a decent taxes there, so you're keeping a lot. They're keeping a lot of the money that they're earning. It's a fun fan base, but you can probably walk down the street and not get accosted by too many fans. Warm weather for the most part. So
I would say too. I wonder. I'd have to look at it, but in terms of like distances traveled over the course of the season for the Predators team, like it's got to be pretty efficient. Their location, where they are.
Yeah. I mean, if they were in the Eastern Conference, it'd be better. Even though they are in the central time zone, because they are like that, they are pretty far east for a central time zone team and market. But they are, it's not too bad, I don't think. It's not like being
a Pacific or Mountain time zone team. That's
it's not like you're Dallas or Seattle, Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
I think those three are probably the worst for travel, like unless you like absolutely nail down it, which the Canucks have, I believe. Like the one really good sort of like holdover from the Gillis regime is the fact that they really work hard on cutting down the travel for the Canucks because of where they are.
It does seem to be
So-
better. It certainly seems to have gotten better since Seattle's been around. I would say that's
Yeah.
made things more efficient. Yeah.
But yeah, because that's when you look at, like, remember when the Rangers were rebuilding and then Panarin fell in their lap and they're like, all right, the rebuild's done. We have to start.
Yeah, that's all. We're good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if Nat, like, the way I say it, did Nashville just pull a Calgary Flames is like, yeah, making moves to win or to stay competitive and then just falling flat like the Flames did.
Yeah.
And then having to really start looking at the future.
If you put it in those terms, yeah.
Yeah, they've got Forsberg, Stamkos, and Forsberg's locked up till 2030, Stamkos till 2028, Marchessault till 2029, Yossi's locked up till 2028, Brady Shea's locked up till 2031, and UC Saros is locked up till 2033. So that's a lot of cap already being taken up by top end players right now, but so it's going to be, if they do quote unquote rebuild, it's going to be a multi-year process to bring in younger players to play with those guys, because those contracts are going to be cumbersome to try and trade, even as good as those players are.
Yep.
So it's definitely a team to watch for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah.
That's assuming that you can actually watch the games on the streaming platform that is Sportsnet.
Did you cook up that segue before the show? Like, so these are the things that we do preparation. Segues, but not research. Now I understand how we work.
I mean, I don't think I cooked it up, but I was definitely eyeing it as a way to try and find a way in there.
that's just fantastic. Yes, those of you that watch consume the product on Sportsnet Plus, not to disparage a brand, but it's called having some issues apparently.
Yeah, so we've already had a game this season where Sportsnet was considered Metro Vancouver as well as other places in Canada, outside of Canada, when let us watch it.
Oh boy.
The new redesign of the streaming app's been a bit of a pain in the ass, I'll be honest. And then last night, and it cuts to commercial, and it just is a commercial loop.
Oh boy! And how long did it go on for? Like, I was watching on my local cable service, City West, here up in Terrace, and never noticed that. So that had to have been something to do with the streaming service in particular.
I exited and got in there a couple times before I finally got back, but then it felt like I was behind, and then it was like and then I finally got back to it after going through another commercial loop. And
you weren't the only one. The Canucks Twitter was stewing over that, to say the least.
We were trying to watch hockey to distract us from everything going on in south of the border, and you wouldn't let us.
Yeah, I know. Like on my channel lineup, it would be like, Canucks, and it was just endless election coverage.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's really frustrating because especially for me, if you're an out of market fan, it's the only option in Canada to be able to watch all the games, unless you subscribe to cable, and then you have to subscribe to Center Ice. So you have to pay for cable, and then you have to subscribe to Center Ice, which is another like $70 a season.
Yeah.
And
No, you're better off
the
with
other-
streaming service in a case like you in your case. Until it
yeah.
doesn't work.
Until it doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately for me, like I know if you're in local, you're within the region, you can purchase the Sportsnet streaming service through Amazon Prime, I believe,
Yes.
and Crave actually.
I have never
but
attempted that, but yeah.
That's only the Sportsnet Plus like basic package, I believe.
Okay.
So you only get the games that are available locally.
Right.
So again, not something that I personally can do. But with everything going on, the reason I wanted to bring this up, not to rant and rave about not being able to watch games and all that, it's just the amount of glitches that this has happened this year with the Sportsnet Plus app. I just wonder going into the next TV rights, the next national rights deals here in Canada, is if we do see the streaming rights move, whether it's to TSN or to Prime or whatever else.
Yeah, I would suspect at this moment in time we're going to see something that's maybe a little bit like what the NBA has done, where they've split it up into 3 packages. The thing is when you're taking games out of the local packages, which mean a lot to the teams, that's a tricky balance with owners and revenue and all of that to mess around with. How do you split up the playoffs? That's another thing. But I could see a world where Bell Media has some form of the national rights, and they retain their current regional deals with the Leafs and the Habs, the Jets, and the Senators, and Sportsnet retains their regional rights and a portion of the national package. But I think that there will be, and I mean, it looks like Amazon Prime is has the inside track on this. I would think that there'll be a package of games exclusively on their service. So if they have the rights to the games, you watch them on their streaming service, and otherwise you'll be watching them either on traditional television or on streaming services associated with Sportsnet and TSN. That's what I see happening. But anything's possible. I mean, who saw 11 years ago or whatever it was? Yeah, 11 years ago when this current rights deal was consummated. Who saw it all go into one service or one entity, I should say. Nobody really envisioned that happening. So anything's possible when it comes to the broadcast rights. And there's a lot at stake here for the league with the collective bargaining up following the conclusion of the Canadian TV deals. So obviously money have a big say in what the future looks like, but there's a lot of elements to this.
Yeah, and I looked down south of the border again with the way the NHL has split up the rights down there. On TV you've got on for national games, you got ESPN and you got TNT cover it, or TBS
TNT
covering games.
Mostly, yep.
TNT,
yep.
yeah.
Yep.
But the streaming rights are all on ESPN Plus. So I wouldn't be surprised if outside maybe like depending on who gets it, I think it's all going to stay the same. Right now, the only game you cannot watch on Sportsnet Plus is the Monday Amazon Prime games, unless it's Montreal, and then you can watch it in French. Yeah. I was quite pleasantly surprised that it was a Montreal game that kicked that off, because I was like, okay, and then I'll be able to sort of see this, and all on Sportsnet Plus for that game, all you could access was the French broadcast.
Okay, so you could not get the Pittsburgh English their broadcast is what you're saying. No. Interesting.
Because let's rewind here a little bit to back before Sportsnet had the streaming, and NHL. It was NHL Game Center. This is what you would buy if you were, and you could access both the home and away broadcasts, unless it was a local broadcast and you had to watch it on your
local RSN,
all that, which has gone away because you're getting, but you also that's gone away if you buy the right package, right? That's that's how they're getting you. It's like, if you want to watch all the games, you have to buy the right package. And the amount of times I see people complaining about not being able to watch this game or that game or whatever, you just have to pay for it, unfortunately. And that's the way the world is. And as I said, as an out-of-market Canucks fan, I have to pay for that to watch all the Canucks. I can't just watch watch it on cable or buy the basic Sportsnet Plus package and be able to watch Canucks games in Calgary.
Yeah. Now, this being a sub-licensing deal that Amazon Prime has for the final 2 seasons here of the Rogers deal, and I've noticed there's a cross-promotion that happens, like the Sportsnet broadcasts promote the Prime games. So the Prime's getting something, I mean, obviously there's the money part of it, but they must be getting something out of it too that maybe, forces people to watch it on their service. I mean, that's getting into some technical nuts and bolts I don't fully understand, but you'd have to wonder if there were some assurances like that put into that deal.
True. Yeah. But whole, getting back into the discussion about the next media rights deal is that I think it's just gonna be. I think it's interesting to watch where this goes, because Sportsnet's losing the WWE rights in Canada. Those are going to Netflix in January, which is also part of the whole thing with all this thing going on with Sportsnet Plus is they just raised the prices of the basic package. We're in the process of. I haven't received an email about the premium package yet. Yeah, but they just raised it while also in the process of losing one of their properties that you're able to watch on there. So
it's just amazing. This is Rogers Communications. They are in the business of communications services, and their platform doesn't work. You would think that they'll get that. you would think that they would get that fixed pretty soon. Try to have some faith.
I remember seeing some complaints and everything about the Sportsnet app past couple seasons, but other than a couple glitches here and there or whatever, it wasn't anything that made things unwatchable. This year, there's been a couple games that have been almost I have been unwatchable because it wouldn't let me watch it or whatever. Yeah. So they got to fix that, and I know we've also there's been issues with at least within the Ottawa Senators region, with similar aspects with people not being able to watch because they were geo-restricted, even though they're within the Ottawa region. So it's not just specific to Sportsnet Plus. Whatever's gone on the last little bit with this technology is I guess causing some IT fits here. Yeah. But I think it's something to watch and something to monitor going forwards, because I've definitely enjoyed watching the games I have watched on Prime. I felt that it's looked good. They haven't reinvented, like I said, you've talked about this. They haven't reinvented the wheel. Before we got on air here tonight, I talked about how I was trying to get very old friend of the show, Graham Osterman, back on, and we will.
Yes, hi Graham.
He's coming back.
Yes, you.
And you and him had a little bit of a conversation, as well as a little bit of me, about what Amazon's done, and as well as everything that Sportsnet tried at the beginning of this media rights deal, where I remember the forced debate topics that they had were you could tell.
Yeah, there was just too much.
Whoever was picking the one side was not even their heart wasn't in it.
No. No.
It wasn't the extra versus Botterill from Saturday night.
Yeah, well, yeah. Look, if you were an executive and you're forking out $5.2 billion for the product, I don't think you want to keep it the same, but they just kind of went too extreme with all the changes all at once. Amazon with their Thursday Night Football package, I mean, they took the NBC Sports production team and brought them in to create that broadcast, and they've made some tweaks along the way, but they have not reinvented the wheel with that either, and I think that's been the right approach. When you already have skepticism about being on a streaming service to begin with, and people being kind of stubborn and old-fashioned about that, not to name anybody, it's you don't want to go too crazy with the changes, but I think we'll see some creativity with that broadcast as time goes along, and perhaps, especially if they are part of the next rights negotiation, there's probably going to be some things that they would put in their bid that are innovative to try to win the rights deal. So, but for now, keeping it simple makes a lot of sense.
Yep, and I think a big thing is, like, you look at NHL. I think in Canada, NHL is big enough that people will follow regardless of what streaming service the rights are on. But a cautionary tale right now is the MLS and how the moving to Apple TV is affected it. You got the Whitecaps playing LAFC in the playoffs, and I don't even know when game 3 is. It's just a bit of a mess.
I suppose the paycheck from Apple Inc. was huge, and they were willing to take it. The global reach, obviously, of the MLS season pass on Apple TV Plus it is appealing, and that's a sport where they're trying to get some global appeal, and you got Lionel Messi and all that. But in terms of growing the game in the markets that they're in already, I don't think the MLS is having any success with that.
No,
they've actually made it harder to access the game. So and confusing. Yeah.
And for I think that, and when I say that as a cautionary tale, I think if the NHL learns from that, the way they do this, they do it the way they've done right now, with Sportsnet being the one spot that you can watch all the games. Minus the Amazon Monday night games right now, but and then down in the States, it's ESPN Plus if you want to stream. Yeah. And if you splitting it up between like the national rights, and if you want to be able to like just buy one package, I feel like you have to have that. If they split it up between, like, say, if it ends up being Amazon Sport, like Rogers and Bell, I think that's just going to cause major issues. So,
well, just hope it's not like the NFL, because they're on every single freaking platform there is known to mankind at this time. They got games on Netflix, they're on broadcast networks, they're on ESPN Plus, they're Amazon. Like I'm probably forgetting some, like the NFL.
Well, I think if you want to, with the NFL, if you want to just watch everything, at least up in Canada, I don't know whether it's down in the States, but in Canada, you just buy the zone. You buy the zone. You can watch whatever game you want.
Yeah, I'm not
sure. It also includes Red Zone, which is like a whole other thing. Which I haven't watched the Amazon Prime version of that for hockey that they do on Thursdays yet, and I do want to actually tune into that, because
that's that coast to coast show.
The coast to coast, because hockey's very, like, Chris and I talked a little bit about this. Was it the last episode or the one before? Because it with Red Zone and NFL is so stop-start that it almost works. But with hockey being a lot more fluid, and there's no sort of like, well, they're within the 20-yard line, they could score here soon. Like, there's no, outside of like power plays or whatever, there's no real sort of milestone triggering spot that you can like switch back in between games without it being a little clunky. So and we've seen other networks try it too. Like the Score had ice surfing, Sportsnet
Yes.
tried to do their own version of it on
Boy, ice surfing,
online
that's
as well.
yeah, a blast from the past. That is, yeah. You're right.
So
The nature of it.
it's a different nature of it, but it's something that I think that you might be able to work on. It's what everyone wanted like, but again, something we weren't able to get up here in Canada for Frozen Frenzy. We weren't able to get the ESPN
I know.
Plus version of that with Buccigross and PK Subban and all that. So really hope that next time they do that, they give us access to that, because I do want to watch that and see how that works.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler, is there anything else? Did we cover enough topics today?
Yes, I think we did. You and I, just for the two of us, to go an hour and 5 minutes here. I see the timer up in the corner. That's why did that ever fly by? Time flies when you're having fun. That's for sure. This weekend, back on the ice to ref again in the Central Interior Hockey League. I got Smithers in Prince Rupert this weekend. Back to Rupert. This is the busiest I've been to start a season that I can remember. I'm already doing my 7th game here this season coming up, so it's been fun. I was in Kitimat last weekend. It was nice to see everybody there again, and hockey's been great, and the guys have been behaving mostly, so it's made the job for the Zebras a little easier.
All right, yeah. As I talked about early at the beginning of the podcast, I'm doing Movember this year. Move for Movember, so I will send out the link for that.
Yes.
If you can donate whatever you can, that would be awesome. But also, this is more for me, more for just awareness and a bit of a challenge for myself, because ever since I've been a little bit more active, my mental health has gotten so much better, and I'm getting a reminder of how important it is right now. Poor producer Heidi fell and has hurt her ankle, and it's been sort of laid up here for the last couple weeks, and I'm just unfortunately seeing the effects of not being able to go to the gym, because she's a gym rat just like I am.
See. Best wishes, Heidi. Miss you, of course. Yes, get well soon. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
All right. How do we follow you, Tyler?
I'm on X at Tnoble, TNOBLE.
I am BeardedConnect03 on the app formerly known as Twitter. You can follow Kevin at all the social medias at KEVOLE. Chris at Schneidz, SCHNEIDZ. Devin will be back at some point.
Really?
This is becoming this is becoming the Matt Damon on the Jimmy Fallon show.
He's just becoming a rumor now on the show.
He has him, and they are opening up a new Amped Advantage out in just outside of Peterborough, so that is fantastic for them. If you do follow Devin on Instagram, it got hacked.
Yes.
So just be wary of what's coming out of his account on Instagram right now. And then you can follow the podcast Shifts and Pucks on the app formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch at Shifts and Pucks. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time. Bye for now.